We get to be super intimate together. I started watching this K-drama.
This book was dramaful.
Dumb idiot bitch.
The grass isn't always greener, sweetie, is it?
Honestly, was not sad she died.
I wasn't sad either. What a coinky-dink.
I'm just sitting here enjoying your weird dramatics.
I'll probably talk for like 5 minutes at the end just about the dog.
This dog is so awesome.
Oh no, poor thing.
I'm not that smart, so I'd probably be dead.
Apparently, he has the biggest dick known to man.
We get to be super intimate together.
We could have rescheduled.
No, it's fine. We're just going to be so nice and intimate. It's fine. You're in bed with me.
Ooh, baby.
We're in bed together. And our
Ooh, baby, baby.
like 2,500
baby.
Listeners.
We hit 100,000 downloads.
We did?
Good job, team. You're the MVP.
For reals.
Reels for
For
reals.
realsies.
Reels for reals. So I don't mean to dive right in, but I have a funny story about what we're reading today. Kind of not really about what we're reading, but before. So when I downloaded the book onto my Kindle, I couldn't find it at first. And I was like, that's weird. Wonder why I couldn't find it? Was because Kindle grouped the books together because I already had the first one downloaded on my Kindle to read. And I just hadn't read it yet. Apparently I had gotten it 2022. And
cute.
I hadn't read it yet, but I had downloaded it to read.
That's so funny.
And I just hadn't gotten to it yet because my TBR be TBRing.
Mm.
And then you had picked literally the longest book in the entire series randomly throughout the series. You couldn't have just picked the first one that was only like 300 pages long.
I didn't. I'm going to be honest. When I picked the book, I didn't even know it was part of a series. I just liked what the description was. I wasn't looking for anything else.
Well, Crystal's sick, so she's in bed.
Dude, you know what I've been watching lately? I know that we have to start this episode at some point, but I started watching this K-drama. Okay, hear me out. So I saw it like on TikTok, and I told Spencer, I was like, I kind of want to get into K-drama, but at the same time, I shouldn't because I don't need to add more things that I'm interested in because why? That's just too many things. And he goes, you should watch them. They're great. And I was like, you are no help. So I started watching it, and it's called Marry My Husband. Have you ever heard of this thing before?
No.
Listen, okay, so this show, it's not real, clearly.
Right.
It's called Marry My Husband, all right? I just need to explain
it's not like
you.
a reality show?
No, it's a drama. A K-drama. They're like, bro, listen, okay, hear me out. So I've only made it halfway through the first episode so far, just because I got distracted with other things. So I'm probably going to finish watching the first episode later and then continue. And I think it's dubbed right now, which works. It's on Amazon Prime. Congratulations, people. If this sounds like interesting to you, here you go. If you have not ended up. Okay.
On it anyway.
So the show is about this woman gets cancer. It starts off, she has cancer, like stage 4 stomach cancer, and she's going to die. She's in the hospital, and her best friend comes to visit her at the hospital, and she's like, I think my husband's having an affair. And we're like, oh shit. And her best friend's like, oh my god, I can't believe that. That's crazy. Like, da-da-da-da. And then the hospital people come into her and they're like, hey, you either need to pay your bills or you need to get the fuck out. And so she's trying to call her husband, and he's not answering. So she leaves, takes a cab home to her house. She finds out her husband is fucking her best friend. They're sleeping together.
That same lady who went to the hospital?
Yes. And then they kill her. This lady dies.
Had cancer?
Yes. They kill her in the apartment after she discovers this affair. And then
they couldn't even wait for the cancer killer?
They were saying they were going to wait for the cancer to kill her because the husband took out
a morbid joke. Oh my god.
Hold on. No, they literally, the husband took out an insurance policy on her knowing she had cancer for when she died so he could collect the insurance money and then him and the best friend could live together. And the reason he did that is because her dad, the wife's dad, had died of cancer. So he goes, it was kind of like she potentially could have cancer when she was having stomach issues. I kind of assumed that that's what it was going to be. So I took out a life insurance policy on her. Yeah, right? So then she dies because they get into an argument and they push her and she gets pushed onto a glass table and she dies. Like, she dead. That is the first, like, 20 minutes of this episode, and it's an hour-long episode. And then she wakes up, and she is 10 years in the past. And it's basically her being able
her life?
to redo the last 10 years. And the description is, and it's her being able to, like, wanting to get revenge on these two people. So this is prior to the affair happening. She wakes up in the office, and she's freaking the fuck out. And, like, I think her boss person, because she knows, like, everything that's going to happen, like, the stock markets and stuff. Also, her husband is a leech because he quits his job to, like, do stuff in the stock market instead. And so she's supporting the family, and the mom of the guy, like, lives with them because that happens. And the mom was like, you can't even give me kids, blah, 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 because she can't have kids because, stomach cancer. And, like, the mom is a terrible person. The husband is a terrible person. And then she wakes up and she's freaking out because she's like, sees the dude and she's like, what the fuck? Like, she starts beating him in the office because in her brain, she just found out they had an affair. Well, he had an affair and her best friend. And then it, like, eventually hits her that, like, it's
this is not what she thinks.
Yeah. It is 2013. It is not 2023 anymore. And her boss person, who ends up being the CEO in the, like, 10 years in the future, but he's currently her boss, is, like, helping her out and he's being super nice. So I think he's going to be integral to the story. And I was telling one of my friends, I was like, I don't know why, if this guy was helping her like this in her previous life, why she did go for this guy, because he is so much hotter than her husband. Her husband sucks.
So
and the way he speaks to her is so rude, like the husband. Like, it's so, dude, I so fucking into it. And I'm sitting here like, oh my God.
So I would either have to listen only or learn the language that it's originally in, because I can't do dubbed shows because when the words don't match up to the mouth, I can't do it.
It's interesting too, because I have the subtitles on too, and the subtitles are different from what they're saying, because it's fine right though.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't even care. I don't know how to switch it into the Korean language. It's why. Well, I watch enough anime that, like, I'm good with having the subtitles with it just being in Japanese at the time. And I've seen enough Korean stuff lately where I'll just read subtitles and I'm fast with it. But dude, so fucking into it. You have no idea. And I haven't finished the first episode, and I can't wait to see where this fucking goes. And I can't wait for all her revenge. There's also a part with a cab where the cab that took her to the apartment, like, she was, like, discussing stuff in the car, and she was, like, kind of being all gloomy and doomy about her life sucking, and the cab driver is being super nice, and she goes to pay him, and he hands her the money instead, and he goes, just think of it as a gift from, like, from your dad or something. Turns out, actually, the fucking cab driver is, like, her, like, a reincarnated version of her dad. It's wild. It is crazy. Her dad's dead. Very clearly dead. But, like, dude, it's insane. I can't wait to see where this goes. Anyways, that's what I've been listening to. So yeah, Marry My Husband, K-drama, Amazon Prime. You're welcome. Amazon Prime pays me nothing.
They really should.
Amazon doesn't even technically pay me.
They really should, especially since we only read Kindle Unlimited books. They should sponsor us.
Amazon, get on your shit. Let's go.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about my K-drama that I am slowly delving into. We're here to talk about.
No, but we could, if you're interested. Sounded dramaful. This book was dramaful.
Dude, holy shitballs it was. And you know what? I want to read the next one.
Okay. Well, maybe you should start at the beginning. But I have to preface. Okay, so first of all, this week we read The Fallen One by Brittany Sahin. And this is a security company book. And that is solely basically why Crystal picked this book. But I have to preface that this book was fucking long.
It's 700 pages.
And it had so many things going on in this book. and so many things that you kind of should have read all the other books so that you kind
See,
of
I didn't
were
feel that way.
engrossed in their world. It wasn't super overdone, but it was obvious that they were connected from book to book because there were so many people and so many moving pieces that they were all connected, and there was so many people being brought in and out. And I'm going to tell you, if my recap of it is confusing, I apologize because there was a lot going on, and
there was so much going on. When I was reading it, I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know how Ariel's gonna do this. But honestly, I didn't feel that I needed to read any of the other books. The ending, I very clearly need to read the next book. I want to know what continues going on. Spoiler. But I didn't feel that way at all. I was like, I got so immersed into it. And like, I was home by myself reading this, and like, I kept saying shit out loud. I was like, what the fuck? What? And then swearing at some of the characters. It was great. I had a great time. But Crystal
Awesome.
is going to be, try to insert her opinion when she can. Crystal is slowly dying of the plague.
Slowly dying. The Fallen One, the book, the novel, what we're here for, is sectioned off into 4 parts. And part 1 is in the past, and it starts off in November of 2011 when our male main character Carter finds out that his wife has been using Washington, D.C. contacts to try to get him a job in the CIA and out of the Army. She does not like his job that he has had for the last 10 years. And now that her parents have passed away, leaving their billion-dollar company to her, she has the means and resources to try to force her husband's hand. Already, not a fan of her right from the get-go.
Literally hated her from minute 1.
Which
For the
was probably a
record,
good thing
spoiler,
because she
that
was not
feeling
our.
never went away.
I was going to say it was just probably a good thing because she was not our FMC. Yeah, so they weren't even married or dating until after he was enlisted. And he wants this as a career and has always wanted this as a career, but she wants him to
And she
do
knew that too, is the
right.
crazy part.
Yep. And now all of a sudden, 10 years later, she wants him to do what she wants. His team was waiting to board a plane to head home for Thanksgiving as he has this conversation with a teammate who heard the rumors, but their conversation is cut short. Their holiday leave has to wait. There is an emergency that they are being called to help with. An ambassador and her daughter, visiting from college, are being held hostage. Carter is going to be in charge of rescuing Diana, the daughter, and then we meet Diana. So we assume now that Diana must be our female main character because she has her own point of view. So, spoilers right from the get-go. Diana comes to after hitting her head and getting knocked out in an explosion caused by the people holding her hostage. She's with a soldier that had saved her from the blast. They're stuck on what is left of the floor while we wait for the soldier's team to rescue them. They basically have to cuddle to fit on what's left of the floor. And the soldier tells Diana that his name is Dominic, but she can call him Dom. And just so you all know, we find out shortly, right after this scene, that Carter's last name is Dominic, so we won't leave you in suspense like I was for a second. I was like, is he giving her a fake name? Like, what's going on? So he calms her
Army,
nerves.
they typically go by their last name, so it would make sense.
Also true. But I also wasn't sure if Carter, which one was what. Yeah. Because Dominic sounds like a first name, He calms her nerves and assures her his team is on their way. She doesn't want to die before she has a chance to live and save the world. He gets the heads up. His team is 30 seconds from getting them. Once rescued, the entire team was quickly brushed away so the media wouldn't see them. Finally, on holiday leave, Carter is stuck at his wife's boring holiday party, not really having anyone to talk to while she rubs elbows with the rich New York partygoers. He heads to the terrace for some air. There's a woman already out there. Carter is startled to discover that it's Diana. He asks if Rebecca invited her mother, which is odd since he can't talk about his missions. Diana says, "Wait, you know Rebecca Dominic? You're Carter Dominic." He says, "Yes, I'm Rebecca's husband." He asks how she's doing, after the whole ordeal. She says she's doing okay. Apparently, Diana's mother was friends with Rebecca's parents, and they have kept in touch. Diana thanks him again, and they're interrupted by a Senator Paulson, who clearly Diana thinks is a creep and kind of uses Carter to hide behind. and Carter makes it very clear that he is not welcome on the terrace and sends him back inside. They head to go back inside, and Rebecca meets them at the door, excited that they finally got the chance to meet. She mentions about the hostage situation that Diana went through, and Carter tells Rebecca that he was there, and that's how they know each other already. And Rebecca connects the dots, but is upset that he was in a dangerous situation like that. Woman, do you not know what his job is?
I hate this woman.
She says, that's all the more reason you should quit and join the agency. He explains he could just as easily die in the CIA. She says people would protect him there. She just worries. No, really, she wants him to get into politics and climb that ladder so that she can get there too. He asks her to not invite Senator Paulson to parties anymore or to really have anything to do with him because clearly he's not being very nice to anyone. We skip ahead to April of 2015. A lot of this beginning section, we skip around with time a lot, so I'm just going to tell you ahead of time.
And I do like the fact that it does tell you the time period of where everything happens. I appreciate that instead of just skipping and just making you assume.
And you have to figure out like months or this or that. It's pretty clear with like the month and the year. Yeah. So April 2015, Carter is working for the CIA unhappily. And surprise, surprise, Rebecca isn't happy with it either.
Because he also keeps getting sent to do like more dangerous shit. Like,
well,
the dangerous shit didn't change, it just changed industries.
Right, and he still can't tell her about his missions. Like, what
dumb idiot bitch. You think that going from the army to the CIA that you're going to be able to say things, especially in the CIA? Are you dumb?
She's not the brightest crayon on the box. It's been 2 years since he made the move, and being in the CIA, he could tell her even less about his job and day-to-day than he could in the army, which I just said. She gave him the ultimatum that 2 years ago, and he chose her. She won't consider having kids that he wants, but you know.
Dude, I wanted to punch her so hard for that too.
Which I get. Nobody should, but like you're forcing him to do all these things. You can't concede on some things, or different.
It's called compromise.
You guys should be willing to compromise and have conversations about different things. Yeah, especially if you're wanting him to have a safe dirt. Yeah. They're on their way out to dinner, and at the restaurant in line for the hostess, they run into Diana and her mother. Diana is in town visiting her mother for Easter. The mother asks for a minute with Rebecca, and they excuse themselves. Diana is surprised that Carter even remembers her. She says that her mom mentioned that he was no longer in the military. She says, you must not love whatever it is you do now because your eyes are sad. Diana apologizes, but he says, no, you're right. Government work, and I hate it. As Rebecca is returning, he gets an urgent text from work. He has to leave, so Rebecca's pissy again. The grass isn't always greener, sweetie, is it?
Nope. And she's like really fucking annoyed about it. Like,
yeah.
She goes, don't even explain. And like, she's just so pissy. And I'm like, lady, this was your decision. Like, this is what you wanted him to do.
And now they're both miserable. So later that evening, Diana hears her mother talk.
When you're born to billionaires.
Later that evening, Diana hears her mother talking to someone downstairs. She opens her door to investigate because it's pretty late. And she's like, that's weird. It's Rebecca apologizing for showing up so late. She's very drunk. She's going on and on and on about how she feels like Carter resents her for making him quit the army, but that really it's her massive guilt that is overpowering things right now for her. Guilt because she cheated on Carter the week before with Senator Paulson.
She claims that it was just a kiss. There's no fucking way she feels that much guilt for just a kiss.
She claims that they didn't actually fully have sex, that there was just foreplay and stuff. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think it was,
You don't feel that amount of guilt for that.
I mean, you should feel that amount of guilt, but I'm just saying I don't believe her.
Right. But I'm just saying, like,
The mom, Susan, encourages her not to tell him unless he's making her unhappy, and then she should just divorce him and not tell him anyways. Now we're going to fast forward to March of 2019. Carter is away on a mission, and Rebecca has been dodging his calls. When she finally gets on the line, she's weird and says they need to talk, but not over the phone. And he's reminded of a year ago when she told him that she had cheated on him back in 2015 when she had too much to drink one night and it all spilled out.
She
She
admitted
is
to him like 2 years after
3 years,
she
yeah.
fucking did it. It was
Hmm.
just crazy.
It took her
Sorry.
3 years to admit it. Isn't that ridiculous? Yep. She assures him that it's not another man that she needs to confess about. She just doesn't want to have the conversation over the phone. He doesn't quite believe her. There's a pounding on the door and the doorbell's ringing in the background of her call. It's late at night and Carter gets a bad vibe. He tells her to get to the safe room. She says, "Don't be ridiculous." And then the last thing he hears is her screaming. Yeah, don't listen to your trained husband.
Honestly, was not sad she died.
I wasn't sad either. I mean, I felt bad for him, but I was not sad. I felt she should have died sooner in the book.
She sucks. I hated
Yes,
her.
she does. So a week later, Carter is a numb zombie going through the motions as people offer their condolences. They're saying it was a home invasion gone wrong, and Carter needs to let the police and the feds handle it. He's determined that he will do whatever it takes to find the killer or killers. CIA be damned. Carter disappears to get some space from all the sorry for your losses flooding his house, and Diana finds him. He tells her not to say sorry. He says she must not have taken a government job. Her eyes aren't sad. He says his are dead now. He can't feel anything. He can't even cry. She says it's the shock. She says that if he wants to try, it might be easier with an almost stranger. He drops to the ground and just breaks. They just sit there and she holds him while he cries. It's kind of sad. Not sad enough for me to cry, but
Yeah,
sad.
and it was sad, and no one has ever seen him cry. Not even Rebecca has seen him cry. So,
He can't explain it because, so we should mention there's an 11-year age difference between them. When he rescued her initially back in 2011, she was only 20. She was about to turn 21 and he was 32. And he just can't explain how he just feels this connection with her and this like comfortability with her.
and she, of course, feels like shit about her
Yep.
feelings because as soon as like she had like fantasized about him after all of the rescuing and everything, and then she learned that he was married, and then she felt like ass about it. And then now this whole thing happened, and like she feels guilty because now his wife is dead, but she still has these feelings like, and I don't think she's very sad that Rebecca's dead.
And but that makes her
She
feel
is,
guiltier.
but exactly. She always feels an immense amount of guilt. Poor girl.
When they're just about ready to join the real world, Diana's mother, Susan, finds them. He asks Susan if she knew what Rebecca needed to tell him that night, since she was supposedly going to be coming over the next day or whatever, that he doesn't think the invasion was random, but he needs to know who the target was. Susan asks Diana to give them a minute. She tells Carter that Rebecca had begun to be very secretive leading up to her death, that she even stepped down at work, sold most of her family's businesses, that she truly doesn't know what was going on. A little over 6 months later, Carter still hasn't tracked down who killed Rebecca. He went rogue from the agency and hired a bunch of old teammates and contacts to help him follow leads. He transferred the money Rebecca left into untraceable accounts and went off grid. He feels like he's not really getting anywhere, so he needs to make some big moves. He needs to set himself up to look like a huge criminal, a criminal other criminals will fear. After he makes sure he is seen on CCTV after taking out some bad guys when they were doing some kind of bank heist or something. He drops off the money at a church and ends up taking with him a puppy left in a box out front, marked free. Rebecca had once suggested a dog instead of kids, and he was like, why not? We see Diana briefly in 2020, and she is resolute in her beliefs in Carter. And even though she keeps hearing more things from people on things that he's done, she is sure whatever it is for good reason. Her belief in him isn't swaying. In April of 2021, Carter is struggling. He slept with someone else for the first time since Rebecca. And worse, it was a target to gain information.
Yeah, and this lady's a bad lady.
And what's even worse, he liked it. November comes around and Carter is visiting Rebecca's grave. After all this time, he's finally done it. I just thought this was pretty anticlimactic that we just kind of like skip ahead and it's like, oh, it's done. I killed all the bad guys.
Yes, at the time, but then as the story continues,
I didn't realize it was going to get that much convoluted going forward, but yeah.
bro, so when I thought that I knew who it was like, nah,
Nah, bro.
nice try.
He found and took out every last person responsible for her murder. Apparently, a celebrity treasure hunter slash smuggler slash trafficker had been blackmailing her after a dinner gone wrong. He also manipulated her into stealing private CIA files from a list of Carter's unclosed cases to feed him information. And that brings us to part 2, which starts in June of 2024, which is interesting because the book came out before that, but I'm just assuming it has to do with the timelines in the other books in the series, and that's why.
I mean, yeah, but also, like, you can write about times that don't exist yet.
Yeah, but most of the ones that model real life wouldn't go past real life just in case something major happens.
What is real life?
Carter's part of Falcon Falls security and has been spending his time trying to come back from it all and clear his name. He got word that the apparent moron he left in charge of Rebecca's company, Pierce, just let it go in some sort of hostile takeover. He heads right there to see if he can fix things. Pierce is trying to tell him that it wasn't a bad deal considering, and they're keeping on a good bit of the staff, and hands him a list. Diana is on that list. She was hired on 6 months ago. He asks to see her. He can't explain the magnetic pull that they have always had. She comes in and asks if he did it, if he got the guy. He says yes. She asks if he's back. He says no. And he suddenly needs to not be in the same room as this sweet, innocent, magnetic creature that he definitely doesn't want. Sure, buddy. And he leaves. I think that moment when he was free from being married, free from the task of hunting down his killers, and all of a sudden he found himself in this room with this magnetic person that he's so pulled to, he was just like, I can't be in the same room as her, or this is going to be a problem.
Yeah. She really tests his limits a lot just by literally existing.
He leaves. Diana is meeting her best friend Sierra for drinks when Senator Paulson pulls up. Her family keeps trying to get her to date the single eligible bachelor, but she knows what a skis he is. She's all like, what are you doing here? And first of all, it's like, how did he know? She doesn't understand how he knew she was even there because the only people who knew she was there was her best friend Sierra, but Sierra tells her husband everything, and her husband is friends with Paulson. So she's like, really? Did you tell him? And now this guy's freaking here. So she goes out to deal with him and to get him to go away. And she's all like, what are you doing here? And he tells her to get in his car. She obviously tells him no. He tells her to not make a scene and to get in a car that he knows she saw Dominic earlier. Knowing her friend has eyes on her, she gets in. He's insistent that Carter is a psycho who murdered his wife and wants to make sure that she didn't tell him anything about the project she's working on for the company.
Tells her really sketchy.
Yeah. He tells her that if she sees him again, to run. She says Carter has never made her feel even remotely as uncomfortable as he does. He accuses her of wanting to fuck Carter and grabs her by the hair. She says, let me go, and scrambles to get to the door and get it open. He says, I'll be seeing you, before she's able to get the door shut. What a fucking creep.
Right? There's a lot of creepy men in this book.
2 months later in August, Carter and his team have succeeded in finally removing him off all the wanted lists, watch lists, etc. All the lists. All the single lists. No, all the single lists, all the watch lists. Put your hands up. He's been quite stuck on Diana in his head since he saw her, which stemmed from someone that had similar features as her walking in on him getting a blowjob, and now he can't stop his subconscious from fantasizing about her. And yeah, he also may have installed his own cameras at her research center and has been watching Diana work.
And we have entered the morally gray portion of the story, folks.
Obsessively.
He's just using his resources to make sure she's okay and safe.
Yeah. Part 3 starts in October of 2024, which is only 2 months later. Diana is at work, staring at her computer, hoping the answers come to her. It's acting funny, though. The mouse is moving across the screen on its own. She's tired, though, so that might just be it. She calls her coworker over to look at it, who fiddles with it and gets it to stop at least. They chat for a bit about how all this energy stuff makes time travel come to mind. Diana's coworker asks if anything she would change if she could, time travel wise. She says she would make it so she doesn't meet a certain person. She has had such a strong pull to Carter since she met him, and has compared every man she has met or dated to him, with them always falling short. And she's never gotten anywhere because of it. Her coworker goes to get them more coffee, and Diana turns around to stare at her code on the screen once again. But she notices something isn't quite right. Then she sees men with guns go into the office next door.
There was alarms going off too.
She memorizes what's on the screen before deleting it just before they come in, telling her to get up and walk to the door. She thought she had a good opportunity, and she brought the heel of her hand up beneath the guy's nose while kneeing him in the balls, his gun dropping to the floor. Before she could do anything else, a voice on the loudspeaker says, "Stop fighting or your colleagues will die." The guy uses this distraction to his advantage and flips her, and her world goes dark. Carter has been at his off-grid house attempting to purge Diana from his mind. He's even managed to go 5 whole days without watching her work cameras and spying on her.
What a time
Good
to quit
job.
doing that.
Right? What a coinky-dink. Suddenly there are people at his door. He wasn't expecting company. The president is requesting his presence. Dun, dun, dun. In the Oval Office, it's just him, not his team. And he can't seem to figure out what's going on or why he's even there until the president walks in and tells him that 2 nights ago, a research lab was hit. Many people were executed before the building was bombed. It was a joint project with 11 other countries on a cold fusion project. The president and his aide with him confess that it was the CIA that bought out Rebecca's company purely for this project. Carter's heart stops. He's like, "Please tell me it wasn't the Amsterdam lab." "Oh, buddy, how did you know about the Amsterdam lab?" "Oh, is that where your hidden cameras are? Weird." The president nods. Carter asks if Diana is dead. They say that she wasn't recovered in the rubble, and they believe that she and others were taken, but that all security footage was destroyed in the explosion, so they can't be sure. You okay?
I'm just sitting here enjoying your weird dramatics.
Carter says that he needs his computer now, that he has other security footage, not theirs. The president instructs his guy to retrieve Carter's belongings left at the front. Carter asks the president why he is there. "We need you to save Diana and the project. We need you to do what you did before. Get the criminals to spill because they see you as one too." He needs him to do whatever he has to, and when it's over, he will personally clear his name. Huh. Weird how he needs him to do this all now.
I literally thought that the president was going to be it. That would have been cooler.
That's funny. He never was on my list of suspects, but that's funny.
I was confused for a lot, but it's okay. I was here for it.
The laptop comes and they watch everything go down. It's going down.
No one was yelling timber.
They're yelling intruders. Crystal's so sick of my shit.
Between this and the fucking bear thing, Jesus.
Determining the armed people were talking in Serbian, Carter knows who can help connect the dots. He asks to be put back on the wanted lists and leak a good story to the press so it looks credible when he finds the woman also on the wanted lists who can help. They make a comment that makes it obvious that Diana was working on a project she thought was cold fusion, but it wasn't. Probably why she was stuck and couldn't figure out her formula. He asks for space to work and that his team be given the list of the other countries partnered with the project so that they can work behind the scenes without being pulled into this mess. But he wants the crew he worked with when he was hunting down Rebecca's killers and for them to have the same deal, and including his dog.
I love the dog.
I know.
Oh my God.
Oh, like I'll probably talk for like 5 minutes at the end just about the dog. Just saying. With
You
five,
know, it's been a while since we've had such a
a fun animal.
integral part of the story. Because the last one was what? Peanut butter? Something like that? Was that the dog's name? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
It was a great dog.
With 5 of his guys from the old days, they head off to meet with his contact Aliana. Aliana, in exchange for a suitcase of money and a future favor, tells him that a few hours ago, the Serbians who took her separated her from the other hostages. Based on her people's recon, Aliana figures Diana will be on a trafficking cargo ship by 9 a.m. She gives him an iPad with details on the best guess to where she's being held. By 8 a.m., they were set up at the port. They breach the building and find a room of trafficked people, but no Diana. Apparently, Diana actually had been there moments before the breach, but men came and rushed her drugged state out. She was rushed into a vehicle heading for the docks, and she tried her best to move and open the door. No one paid her any attention as the drugged girl wasn't a threat anyways. She managed to get it open, though, and tumbled from the vehicle, where there was a shootout. But it was confusing because people seemed to be shooting at the bad guys too. Remember, she's very drugged. Until arms came around her saying it was okay, that it was me, in his voice, which she thought must be the drugs. She tried to fight him. He manages to convince her it really is him, and she just stops fighting, letting the drugs finally take over her body, succumbing to the darkness. Carter and his team, along with now Diana, hole up in a rectory beside a church while they tend to Diana, and the rest of the team gets everything squared away with the rest of the people they found. Carter uses a medical kit to give her an IV, and when she starts to come to and work off the drugs, her body gets chills. So Carter scoops her up and holds her, and with the help of his dog, Dallas gets her into the shower and turns it on. Dallas, like, opens doors and, like,
He
he is
opens
just,
doors, turns showers on, opens curtains. This
like, he is,
dog
like,
is so awesome.
and it's not just, like, one word commands. He, like, fully understands everything everyone's saying. He's fully trained.
And it's just so funny because like Diana makes a comment about it one time and fucking Carter just goes, "Don't tell him that. He'll get a bigger ego."
Yeah. She wakes up and she says, "You saved me again." And he says, "I'll always save you." The shower's helping and she's able to think and be. She asks about the other people in that room. His team is taking care of them. But what about the other hostages? His team will find them. He says if she's good and okay, they should go find a safer location. She asks if she can fully rinse off first, wash them away from her. She asks for help getting out of her wet clothes. Carter tries his best to keep his eyes on her face to not create a situation. He washes her hair for her, which she feels like everything is one-sided for her, so it's really hard. She finishes up and he carries her out of the bathroom and into the bedroom. And he heads to find her clothes from the donation box and gets updates from his team. He brings back clothes, water, and a phone so that Diana can call her mom. She's surprised her mom had a hand in getting Carter to rescue her. She asks if that means he's off the lists now. He says he was, but it's complicated. Diana doubts her mom is actually going to give her any information on the whys of the attack. Then she remembers
Because
what
it should be noted too that Diana's mom still blames Carter for everyone blames Carter for Rebecca dying, and like
Mhm.
everyone says that he killed her for the billions of dollars,
Yeah.
and so many people just believe that, and of course that's obviously the narrative that's been put out there, and why he's like on a wanted list is like, oh yeah, he killed all these people, but also he killed his wife for all of this money. So that is why Diana's mom hates him.
And because he doesn't belong in her social circles.
Well, that too. That's still all of it's petty and stupid.
Yeah. But thinking about all this just clears her brain and she remembers what happened right before. And she tells Carter that she thinks someone was hacking her computer and that may mean they saw what she did before everything happened. that she thinks her equation accidentally solved how to devise an EMP weapon. Yeah, that's what he figured. He tells her his speculations. She says the government has done this before, that they must have other sites in operation, all working on small pieces, none knowing the whole thing until she accidentally stumbled upon it. They need to figure out if the other sites were hit. Diana realizes her mother must have known about this, as she was the one who pushed her into this job along with her boyfriend. And this is why Paulson was so weird, well, more weird that day at the restaurant. After changing and getting some broth into her, Diana finally braves the call to her mother. Her mother is relieved and the president comes on. Diana is up front and tells him she knows the truth and is not okay with it. They obviously can't discuss much on a phone call, but Carter asks how many other labs were hit that night. The president says one, that each country had their own lab separate, but no other countries were admitting to theirs getting hit because no one trusts each other on this right now. Carter knows of the lab that was hit in the United States. It's a bunker in Montana.
For rich people.
Yep.
For the end of the world. It really is like, because what Diana was talking about was the Manhattan Project, but it really is giving Cold War fallout shelter.
Carter tells Diana to end the call. It's time to go. They drive for hours to a safer location so the team can interrogate two of the kidnappers that they picked up while rescuing Diana, and they can get ready for the president's extraction team. Carter got word his contact double-crossed him and is on her way with a team to this new location for Diana.
Oh no, a criminal double-crossed you.
Shock. Aliana arrives and tells him she was discovered, and now she has 48 hours to hand over the package, or she's done for herself. Her tipping them off to the initial rescue put a target now on her. Oh no, poor thing.
I don't know. So I didn't hate her. Yes, no. She's a criminal, but at the same time, like, she also helped him a lot with things.
I'm not saying I hated her, but like, dude,
I know
that was a natural consequence to your own actions.
That is, yes. Now her family's got the target on their back.
They're threatening her family. They're now threatening her family. Carter suggests they work together. Whoever is blackmailing her is also who he is looking for. We can let them think you have Diana, but there's no way you're taking her. Aliana says he has 12 hours to convince her that it's a good idea, or she's skipping to her next plan. She tells her men to hold back, and Carter tells his to get ready to move locations again. Diana needs a breather, so she goes into the other room, and Carter follows. They talk about Carter being on the wanted lists again. Aliana had made a little taunt at Diana about being there because her mom set him up as the killer again. Carter explains the deal to her with the president and everything. He also tells her she needs to stop looking at him like he's the good guy because he's just a wolf in sheep's clothing. She asks,
a sexy wolf. Sorry.
she asks, but what if it's the wolf I want? And tells him to kiss her. He says no, that he can't destroy the good in her. She says that she needs to make sure she isn't just imagining it, that what she feels between them is real. He says it is real, and he kisses her. He tries to pull back to stop things, but he can't and goes right back and kisses her again. Finally, he gains control and stops and says, this can't happen again. It's too dangerous. That he needs to get to the meat to get her extracted. They arrive at the black site to wait. Some of the team are at a different location with Aliana. At the black site is some of Carter's security company ready to help. Carter needs to tie and set Diana up as a fake hostage video to have before she leaves Carter. And he likes tying her up a little too much and is all grumpy with himself for it.
And you know what? She's kind of into it too.
Yep. It should be known that he was never super dominant until he was looking for his wife. And then that's kind of all he ever did with any other woman.
But he just fantasizes about having sex with friggin', why is her name
Diana normally?
Diana missionary. And he goes,
and he's like, what is wrong with me? Diana calls him out for losing his control that he loves so much around her. He reiterates that that is why he needs to stay away, but they're interrupted by the sound of gunfire outside. A teammate rushes in to let them know that they are surrounded and outnumbered. They came in fast and hot. Carter asks if there's a safe room. There isn't. Carter asks Diana if she can shoot accurately. Her father did a lot of training with her, especially after the first hostage situation she went through. She can, and he hands her a gun. Carter tells his team to get the other half with Aliana here now. He needs to go out and help his team, and he needs Diana to stay, and that if anyone comes through, to shoot first, ask later. He calls for Dallas to come down and be with her. The dog comes flying in with a helmet on, ready to guard.
I love him so much.
And Dallas howls in alarm. Carter says that means they breached and that he'll be back for her, and he leaves. I love that they have like this way of little talking to each other too. Like he knows exactly.
Yes.
Diana locks the door behind him and huddles with Dallas. After a bit of waiting, the door rattles, and then all of a sudden it's blasted open, and two shadows of men appear in the doorway. Almost immediately, a third comes and starts attacking the first two. Dallas runs and joins in to help what is obviously his daddy. Carter has one pinned down pretty good, while Dallas is chewing on the leg of another. Diana takes her gun and shoots at the guy Dallas is trying to bring down. Carter uses his knife on his guy just in time for a third to appear, allowing Carter to quickly take this new guy out as well. He asks Diana if she's okay and lets her know that the secondary men have arrived outside. They make their way through the hall and a sea of bodies when they get word that inside is now clear. Only 2 snipers left outside, and people are handling it. Aliana ditched and managed to slip out in all the chaos, but they don't think she led anyone there. She had no trackers and had been cooperative, giving the men info on the blackmailers at the other site. She was just trying to go off and help her family in this moment that she could get away. Carter says to get word that they aren't handing over Diana. She's staying with them. They are going dark. They need to get in the air. That's where they'll be safest. They start scanning the bag Diana's mom sent for her, with the change of clothes, hairbrush, glasses, etc., because that's the only thing that is different with them. And in her glasses, they find a tracker. Probably her dad, just to be cautious, but who else knows about it and who was able to hack it? They recognize the defense company who made it. As they were leaving, a plane swept by and dropped a bomb, taking out the black site. They quickly got out of there and to a plane and up in the air. This whole thing has been a whirlwind, and Diana may have gotten to her breaking point. She gets pretty emotional about the fact that people are getting shot at and places are bombed because someone is after her. She convinces Carter they both need a rest, even if it's just a brief one. Carter hasn't slept since before they found her. They lay down on the bed on the plane, and Diana asks him to please just hold her. Carter falls asleep for about an hour, and when he wakes up, Diana tells him that he doesn't snore, that he's a little too perfect. She asks if she can tell him something and have it be a what's said while in the air stays in the air kind of thing. Of course he says yes. What, he's going to say no? She confesses to developing a crush for him after his first rescue of her. The whole thing pouring out. All the guilt, everything. Even about the time travel comment and comparing everyone to him, how she has just felt so tied and connected to him since that day, about how when he kissed her, she saw a whole future between them flash before her eyes, kids, etc. Carter is like, back it up. You saw me as a father? Diana goes to say yes, but he swallows it with an aggressive kiss. Diana takes off her top and bra, and Carter rolls them and pins her beneath him. He fingers her and then removes her bottoms and goes down on her. After he's done, she says, my turn, and she returns the favor. There's a knock on the door with an update, just as he's close, and he asks for it through the door while Diana continues to tease him. But the guy is like, you sure you don't want to come out and talk in person? And Carter has to be all like, give me a minute. And she quickly finishes him off. They get dressed and leave the room. The team informs them that they were able to trace a range for the blackmailers, as well as see the blip in security when Diana's glasses could have been hacked. They believe Senator Paulson to be a credible suspect. Whoa! No fooling! This fucking creep again. Imagine that. And while digging, they found a photo of him with that smuggler dude who was responsible for Rebecca's death. Andrew or whatever. So, did Paulson set them up? They let the president know that the person may be a traitor among his people, and now he wants a word. So they set up to video him in. The president comes on to say he needs more proof. Diana's mother throws in her 2 cents and says how it most certainly cannot be Paulson. She knows him. Diana realizes that the man separated from the hostages first was the guy practically running the whole site that she was working on. You know, the guy who let the government swoop down and just buy out the company.
Pierce.
And the kidnappers even let Pierce take his dog with him. So he's probably in on it. And he was close with Paulson and Paulson with Andrew, Rebecca's killer. Diana's mother, Susan, is like, wait, Andrew killed her? I knew about him. Weird. Rebecca went to him to investigate her parents' death, as she didn't think it was truly an accident. Someone from Carter's team points out, what if it's all connected? You don't say. Rebecca's parents were passionate about their potential cold fusion project when they got taken out. Rebecca takes over, furthers the research while investigating their deaths, which she asked Paulson for help, and he sent her to Andrew. And then bye-bye, and now this obvious bombing / kidnapping of the facilities. Diana says this all makes sense, except that night in his limo, Paulson seemed very convinced Carter killed Rebecca. Susan is like, what night? Diana tells them the story. She says maybe he's a puppet who doesn't even realize that he has strings. Yeah, right. Susan suggests bringing him in to clear everything up. They counter with, and tip him off? The president says he can't go on what ifs. He needs concrete proof of who he can and can't trust. And they end the call. Carter and Diana take a minute to talk in the bedroom. Carter asks Diana if he were to kill Paulson, would she forgive him? If he's the one who's responsible for what happened to her. Diana is like, wait, would you want to kill him because of me, not Rebecca? Of course, he says, and they kiss. He shoves his hand in her pants and then stops and says, oh, I need an answer first. Would you forgive me? She says, would you not do it if I asked? He says, I don't know. And she says, then I don't know either. But I know I want you no matter what. And his hand resumes playing with her to orgasm. There's a knock at the door. Their supercomputer team member has more info. They join everyone and find out the phone they pulled off one of the bad guys had a text that was able to be decrypted. Just a location. And they're wondering if this is where they were supposed to take Diana, and if it's where the rest of the hostages are now. But the one who made this encryption is the same as the blackmailers, but different from the one who set up the taking originally. Two different hackers. Diana realizes, what if one group wanted them to create an EMP weapon, and the other group already has a weapon, and they're worried she can stop them from using it? They agree to land in Scotland and comb through CCTV to see if they can catch sight of hostages. Carter called in a favor with a rich contact to give them a secure location. Carter's best friend, who has been with him since his military days, Griffin, heads out once they are there to get everything Diana would need to set up a lab there. But before he goes, he tells Carter to get his head in the game. He's distracted. Be the guy who can save her, and then once it's over, don't fuck it up by thinking you're a bad guy and too dangerous for her. Be happy. Carter finds Diana in the room that she picked out and tells her that he needs to keep focused. But when it's done, he would like to give them a chance. She agrees. She also needs to focus if people think she can somehow figure out how to stop an EMP, but is over the moon that he wants to try with her. They end up kissing and have to stop themselves again. They just said they were going to wait. But this helps Diana. Newton's first law, she says. We can't seem to stop no matter how much we want to try to behave. We keep staying in motion. What if we don't need to recreate everything here? We just need to stop the pulse of the force. We need to create an unbalanced force to stop the motion from happening. Jam the signal. She'll need help, but we'll be careful no one gets tipped off. Carter needs to make a call to have the two suspects, top choice Paulson, and the other one, come to find out, Susan's boyfriend. Oh, Susan, you just are at the center of everything, aren't you? But to have the two separated and detained while this is going on to determine which is behind things and not to let them in on the plan. Maya, from the team, brings Diana some shopping bags. She was sent to pick her up some more clothes and new glasses. She also thought to include condoms.
And some really sexy lingerie.
Yep. Makeup, all kinds of cool stuff. Diana informs them of their waiting at Griffin's suggestion. Maya assures her that none of the other men, including Griffin, followed that advice with their own women, and she thinks Diana and Carter should relieve stress in their downtime when they can.
I fully support and agree with that. Listen, if you're super wound up, you're gonna just make more mistakes.
That's what she's saying. Diana takes a shower and changes into her new clothes and heads downstairs. Carter lets her know that the president is on board and that they think there might be an attempt for an attack soon. Diana heads to have a call with Maya and the other computer people who will be helping her. Meanwhile, Carter finds out that their digging around the country yielded results, just not good. The bodies of the other 3 scientists hostages were in a morgue as unidentified, and Pierce, the guy who they think was in on it, just pretending to be a hostage, was spotted on CCTV getting into a vehicle, and then 30 seconds later, that vehicle was seen blowing up. Someone is trying to tie up loose ends. Also, out of the 2 suspects, Paulson was able to be brought in, but the other one is MIA. They can't find Jared. Carter says he's either the traitor or being set up to make Paulson look innocent. Later, after another day in her makeshift lab, feeling like they've really made good progress, Diana finally heads to bed and finds a tense Carter, who had been trying his best to avoid her. A, because he didn't want to tell her about her colleagues yet and derail her progress, and B, being around her made him want to touch her. Diana takes matters into her own hands, though, and starts to take off her clothes, saying, "Let's pretend everything outside this room doesn't exist. Just be together." He says, "How can I say no?" She says, "Don't." And they kiss. And apparently he has the biggest dick known to man.
You sound really upset about that.
It's not that I'm upset about it. It's just apparently he has the biggest dick known to man.
What's the biggest dick she's ever seen?
Biggest dick most of his team has ever seen.
Oh, he's got that big dick energy.
He is. I was going to say, he is swinging that big dick. But she doesn't mind. And they fuck anyways, finally. When they're finished, Carter starts to cry, saying he didn't know it could be like that.
Just so sweet and sad.
Really sad. They fuck several more times throughout the night and once in the shower before Diana heads back to the lab. Carter gets a call later that morning, positively identifying the bodies as the missing hostages, and they were able to trace a source on a wire transfer of money to an account for Jared, same day he went MIA. Carter believes this proves an obvious setup. We shall see. 4 days after confirming Diana's colleagues were murdered, Diana is still grieving, but determined to keep working to stop whoever was behind all of it. They're just about done, and they're hoping that they even have time for a trial run. They're elated that they have completed this all in this short time frame when Carter walks in grimly, saying he figured out who's behind it all. Diana's best friend's husband. He's friends with
That's
Paulson.
not where I thought it was going. And I was like, whoa, hold on a second.
I actually thought it was the mom for a while.
I seriously even continued to think it was the mother for a very long time. I did not get good vibes at all.
He's friends with Paulson. Carter has been connecting the dots, trying to find the connection to Diana in all this for days, and it finally clicked. Her best friend Sierra sent her emails after she had been taken, which the husband Carl is probably encouraging her to do to use as bait. They will be this bait, but with Carter at the other end instead of Diana. They have come to the conclusion that Carl's family, that was closely tied with Rebecca's, had her parents killed, and then suggested Paulson connect Rebecca with Andrew when she was digging around, and then they all tried to make it full world conspiracy, like what if Rebecca and Carl's families were a part of some sort of rich bad guy club, each covering a certain type, and Rebecca's dad's energy, and then he ended up steering it for good instead, and he had to be dealt with, and blah 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 blah. This is when it got too long. The book just got too long, and I just started to get off the rails. So I'm sorry. It just really gets convoluted to throw this much in at 85%.
Dude, so much continued just happening. I was here for all of it, but that's me.
It was long and too many directions. Just pick a lane for me.
Which is so funny because
I think it just depends. Sometimes I really get into these security companies, but this one just went in so many convoluted directions.
On purpose.
Carter gets all macho and vows to investigate and interrogate and take care of all involved. They get Diana's formula to the president's team and prepare for the baiting.
Sorry, all my brain thought of was like plankton from such got the secret formula.
Oh, I was like, what?
I don't know.
Well, that's what Carl's like.
What
I
is
need the
it?
formula.
Ravioli, ravioli, give me the formuoli. I'm done.
It is time. It is
It is
time.
time.
It is time. It is time for the team to split up. Those going with Carter to bait and those going with Diana to keep her safe. Carter tells Diana that he doesn't want to wait until this is over. And he tells her that he loves her. She says she loves him too. He asks if she'll marry him. She says yes. And I'm like, bro, that
Really?
escalated quickly. It's just escalated quickly. And
Really, it's
but they
been
were like
so long. It's been
less
like
than, it was a week and a half.
no. You have to look at it in the context of how long they have
Yeah,
been interconnected like that.
I
It has
know,
been
but they've only been
so
like
long.
actually talking for like a
Nah,
week and a half. Yeah.
nah. It's fate, baby.
And asks him to make sure that Sierra is safe and her baby is safe because they must be innocent in all this and to protect them.
Because she is a good person.
Her best friend.
I would make sure you're safe too. Duh.
So I don't like
And then
the
if you
implication of that.
side note, if you ended up how Sierra was, I would be
I
so
don't
fucking
like the
pissed.
implication. I was going to say, I don't like the implication of this at all.
No. So I would obviously make sure
First
you
of
would
all,
be
I would
protected.
not let you go a week and a half without like
I know, but I'm just saying, like, if
kidnap an
I would
unknown.
also be like,
If I
yo,
if I dropped off the face of the earth
make
for a
sure
week and a half, don't you think that would be concerning?
you would drop off the face of the planet for one day, and I would be like, okay, so I need to
Why are you
call the
ignoring me?
FBI.
Hello? Why are you ignoring
Nope.
me?
Well, it's FBI CIA time, baby. Something is clearly wrong. This bitch is
I
ignoring
cannot
me.
find her. Anyway,
Anyway,
so
sorry.
they part ways so that Carter can open the emails and go to the secluded location to act as bait. And then we skip forward 12 hours later because they never let us have the dramatic parts. And it seems like Carl has Carter held prisoner. Apparently, before they arrived, they inserted a tracker under Carter's skin and then let Carl's people ambush him. Carl is hitting him, talking about Carter being a thorn in his family's side. Carter is taunting him, though, and learns that both Paulson and Jared were working for him. Carl's asking where Diana is. Carter's just recapping all he knows about what Carl has done. Carl doesn't understand how he knows all this. Really, buddy? You're such a incognito bad guy. So
He's an
sorry that
idiot.
someone figured you out. I roll. Apparently, it was his wife, though, Diana's best friend, Sierra, that set Rebecca in motion about her parents' death not being an accident. All this talking gave Carter time to loosen the ropes around his wrists, and he lunged for Carl, strangling and then punching him in the face and taking his gun just in time for the door to open and Sierra to come in with a guard.
I was so mad. I was like, how could you betray your best friend like that?
I
You
was
dumb
not
bitch.
surprised.
I was actually a little bit.
I suspected like her just being not a great friend. Like every time she was
but
on
I
the
didn't
page in the
think that
beginning.
this bitch would like cause this whole shit to happen.
Seeing the scene, she starts ranting about how they should have killed Carter at Rebecca's funeral when they had the chance. But Carl is too stupid to ever listen to her, just like she knew this was all a trap. She pulls out a gun and shoots Carl. Pew
Her
pew.
own fucking husband.
She didn't want him anymore. She only needed him for the seat in the big old thingy. Carter shoots down the guard while she's doing that, and the door flies open with his backup. He yells that he wants her alive, but not in time as Sierra shoots and then gets shot at the same time. Too bad she didn't have a vest on too. The team files in, and
it should be noted that the lady who shot Sierra
was Aliana. Yeah.
Aliana, yeah.
The team files in.
I just like the fact that you're like, and she doesn't have a vest on either.
Team files in and informs Carter the place is set to blow in 3 minutes. He's like, wait, they had a kid. Is she here? They confirm they found her and that she's safe. And then they tell him further that they found the hostages and that they're not dead.
Yo, first of all, I was actually really so happy about that.
I actually thought that was really lame.
You know what? I feel like you're just hating on so much shit that we're just
No, I actually thought that was really lame. Why? Like, if you're going to take the measures to kill people off in a book, have the balls to do that. Don't
the
just be like,
point.
surprise, they're not actually
No, the
dead.
point is that was supposed to be that is set in motion. I understood why they did it.
Oh, I
Why they
get
didn't
it,
act.
but Carter's team's supposed to be that good. They just believed that they were identified. I don't
They
know.
didn't assume that things were that corrupt into that. Like it doesn't. It.
At this point, they
I
should be
got it.
questioning everything. Still thought it was lame.
But I'm questioning our
When
friendship.
when Carter reunites with Diana, she's so happy he's okay and obviously devastated by Sierra's betrayal, but he reveals his surprise of her lab mate, and she's happy in shock. Guess they paid off the morgue trying to keep the scientists to themselves. We fast forward to 2 days after the attack was supposed to happen, and there's an article with the truth of Carl's family, clearing Carter of all charges. And best of all, Diana's plan worked, and they saved the country. Carter and Diana get married, and I'm not going to talk about the epilogue because it was just a segue into the next book. You're welcome.
Whoa.
This book was really long, and I thought it could have done with half the directions and theories, honestly.
See, I thought it
And
was
more
perfectly
on
fine.
them.
Yeah. Maybe I was just in the mood for this kind of a book because I was here for it the whole time and I didn't think that.
I just felt like it just went in so many different directions. It was just really long.
That's the point of the book.
Like the first one was on my Kindle and it was
I
less than
know. We're
half
not
this size.
comparing books here.
I'm
Yeah,
just saying less
but
than.
how much you want to bet we would have read that book and you would have complained that there wasn't enough in it?
We don't
We
know,
can't
do
make
we?
you happy. We can't
I'm
make you
happy
happy.
sometimes. I'm happy sometimes.
Are you?
Yeah. Not lately, but sometimes.
Just can't please her lately, guys.
Not lately. I've been too busy lately. When I can just like chill for a day, I'll be happy. Anywho, so yes, who was your favorite character?
The dog.
Yes, mine was Dallas too. He did so many cool things and he was just such a good support dog. And I feel like I would have a dog like him. I am a visiting dog person because dogs tend to like really like me, but I don't have enough time or energy to devote to a dog. That's why cats are like my people. And
Yeah,
I have the energy of a cat, but I feel like I could have a dog like him.
I liked him a lot. I liked him a lot, and honestly, like I liked Carter too, to be
He
honest.
was like a person. Yeah.
So, huh? The dog was
Dallas
like a
was, yeah,
person.
yeah. Who
Well,
was your least favorite character?
fucking Rebecca.
Yeah.
I hate it. And I didn't like Susan.
I didn't like Susan either. I didn't like any of those people. Sierra, any of them. Paulson,
Rebecca though gave me
Rebecca. Yeah, I
such.
hated Rebecca. Yeah.
I was not sad she died.
And she was only with
The thing too is like
him and didn't and stayed with him because she didn't
she
want the stigma of divorce.
she didn't want the stigma of divorce. The fact that she was so incredibly secretive, but like got pissed at him about like the fact he can't say anything about his job. But here she is hiding. Of like she hid everything, everything from him. Like, and yet she was like, oh, but I want to know. No, bitch, you're being awful. And she just sucked. She sucked. I
Yep.
hated her so much. I
Yep.
had a lot of rage towards Rebecca. I
Yep.
was hoping she would die, actually. Before I even knew she was gonna die, I was hoping she would die. That's so bad. Okay. Amazon gives us a 4.7 and Goodreads a 4.6.
You rate it.
I rated it a 4.
I rated it a 3.
Of course you did. I knew that was coming.
We just read one last week where I rated it like a 4 and you rated it like a 2. So
Yeah, I know. No, I only knew what you were going to rate it because of all of the complaints as we read it and your tone of voice with the different things throughout the book. So I knew it wasn't going to be high.
it had all the potential of things I like to be good. It needed stuff taken out.
And I thought that it was perfect as it was.
Oh wait,
except
this one
for
isn't the exceptionally long one.
I don't like, and I get it because it's a series. I don't like that it kind of left on unresolved things because we don't know everything going on.
Well, that's how I felt like the whole series went like that. Like there was a bunch of things that were like intertwined throughout.
Yeah. I didn't feel that I needed to read the book before this, but I feel like I have to read the next book just because I want to know.
Cucumbers.
Not very high. There wasn't a ton because it wasn't really focused on it. So like a 3.
I think I can agree with that. I was hoping there would be more just based on all the talk and everything.
Yeah.
Survivability.
Well, I'm not that smart, so I'd probably be dead. I'd probably kill the whole country on accident. I'm sorry.
Okay. That would be a bummer.
It would be the cause for the entire EMP mission just fucking failing.
Well, I'm supposed to insert myself in her shoes, so it means I've done all the schooling and whatnot. But to be alive, there's a lot of shooting and stuff. Honestly,
Yeah.
I probably would have died when I jumped out of the car. Personally, I'm
You
not very
probably would have
graceful, and I probably would have hit a
got
giant
into tuck
rock
and
or a
roll.
tree, yeah, or something like that. And I just would have it would have been like
Makes
one of those
sense.
accidental like freak things. But I gonna match my freak.
Oh my God, stop it. Oh man. Wild.
Yeah, so let's see what we're reading next week, shall we?
Yes. Sounds fabulous.
We'll rise up,
Ugh.
rise like the day.
Do you understand that our
Rise up.
next book is called Rise?
I know, that's why I was singing.
Oh, I didn't know if
I could see
it hadn't stopped yet.
It was at the beginning
So
of the
you start.
circle.
I was
I was,
hoping, I
it
honestly
was
was
going to skip
hoping it was
over.
going to stop on the other one.
Rise, a Forbidden Brother's Best Friend romance by Cassandra Robbins. This is a rock romance.
God help us.
Oh, and it's age gap too. All right. I know what I want. Wouldn't that be nice? Just kidding. So, so when opportunity knocked, I took it. I grabbed my shot, willing to do anything to make it happen. From the beginning, I knew I was destined to be with the 6'4", bourbon-eyed rock god. Only back in the early days, he wasn't a god. Reese Granger was my brother's best friend. The boy next door who wrote verses and played his guitar in our garage. He was talented, exciting, damaged. The kind of guy who made all the girls cry. Except for me. I thought I was special. Turns out I'm not. And now I despise him. He's the lead singer of the Stuffed Muffins. Would you like your muffin buttered? One of the biggest bands in the world. I almost held it in. One of the biggest bands in the world with dark hair, full lips, and a body to die for. Unfortunately, he's a dick.
I mean, okay.
Not that I care anymore, obviously. I have my own career. So when offered another once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I turn it down. But the universe has other plans, and I'm forced back into the savagely glamorous world of rock and roll, thrust into battling his seductive smile, his dangerous kisses, and my own addictive needs. He might be a rock god, but he's also a man, and I'm the woman he never saw coming. Cassandra says she is not responsible for broken or spontaneous combustion of your e-reader.
Oh boy. Well, this will be fun. We haven't done a rock star romance in a long time either.
Nope. As usual, make sure to keep reading.
And keep it smutty.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck.